Hey, Peter.
Hey. How's that?
That's not great. It needs to be tightened up.
Bam.
I'm Adam Maness.
And I'm Peter Martin.
And you're listening to the You'll Hear podcast.
Daily jazz advice coming at you.
Coming at you today, sponsored by Open Studio. Go to openstudiojazz.com for all your jazz lesson needs.
Hear from one of our members here.
Hey, this is Rob, longtime member of Open Studio. Started out with the trumpet pack, with the Sean Jones pack, and then realized that I need to get my piano chops together, and I said, what the heck? So I'm just going to get the all-access pass, and now tooling around, listening to all kinds of great players and learning something from every one of them, no matter if they're on my instrument or not on my instrument. So thanks, guys, and keep up the great work.
Go to you'llhearit.com to leave us your speak pipe and tell us your Open Studio story. Thanks for that. And what are we talking about today?
We are talking about 5 ways to tighten up your time. And I got to tell you, that was a little bit of our dramatic usage of our advanced acting skills, I would say.
Yeah.
That was hard for me. How many takes did that take me?
It took you a while because you just can't not play to the click.
I mean, yeah.
You got to have good time. It was
I don't like
crazy.
playing to the click, but yeah, it just feels weird to not be tightened up with your time. So we're hoping to give you guys some ways to do that.
That's right. So we have 5 different ways, like really actionable suggestions you can take to work on your time, strengthen your sense of pulse, and really strengthen how you feel your way through the music. Because time isn't really something that works if you're counting. Like, we don't want to be robotically counting in our
1E and a 2E and a 3E and a swing, 4E and a 5E. No. We don't
the best way it works is to learn the language of the rhythm and be able to live in it in a way that you don't get lost, that you can feel your way out of it, even if you don't know where one is sometimes.
Yeah. Now I got a question for you.
Yeah.
I don't think we've ever talked about this, but are you of the mindset of once you tighten up your time, you've got it for the rest of your life, for the rest of your career, or do you think this is like an ongoing maintenance situation?
Wow, what a leading question.
It is. Well, no, it's 2 choices. I'm leading you to 2 different choices.
I think that the gains that you make can stay for a while, but that it's always a battle to work at it and to stay fresh with it. And I mean, it's really like everything else with learning music. It's like there's so many nuances to this that we can always be working on it. I mean, I'm always trying to like expand what I can do in odd time signatures because I'm just not naturally drawn to that.
Yeah.
But I'm in situations all the time where I have to play in 7 and 9 and things like that. So I have to get better at that. And so for me, like right now, that's what I'm working on. And
see, I think it's kind of a combination. And I think that those areas, like what you're talking about, things that you're not familiar with or comfortable with, you can take what you already have in terms of a solidness with time and your understanding. And so I would say, I don't know, this is a little, I guess, controversial because I've heard people write and talk about this different ways. To me, that like once you get your time together, it's sort of like riding a bicycle. You never forget.
Yep.
And that you take that skill with you. But yes, as you go into new areas, going up a hill, going off road or whatever, you need to adapt that general skill of being able to balance on a bicycle, which you can kind of keep from muscle memory.
Yep.
That's the way I like to think of, like, once you get good time, you can always have good time, but you need to learn to apply it in different situations.
That's exactly right.
But your ears should be, like, you should be in a better position if you follow some of these things in practice. I mean, look, and all this is just practicing. These are 5 ways, and there's probably 50 other ways. The main thing is to take some, stick to a routine, and then acclimate your ears so that you can hear when you're going out of time.
That's right.
So that as you go into new situations, like your ear becomes the barometer for whether or not your time needs to be tightened up on the spot.
I think that's great. Yeah, listening is the key always. So let's start with our very first example here of things you can do to tighten up your time. The first is metronome practice, and this is a tried and trusted,
yes,
a tried and trusted and trusted,
encrusted,
and trued and encrusted technique.
It's a crusty technique, but
across,
it's tried and true.
Across all genres of music. There used to be, remember these rumors of people being like, don't practice with the metronome because you're going to lose your feel. No,
that's right. That's the same people like, don't use a microwave oven. You're going to get... Ooh, well, maybe that was true. I don't know.
Boy, I'm dark on that one. No, metronome practice, in my personal experience, has always helped my time get better, even when playing with people, and especially with things like feel, because I'm more confident in where my beat is, and I can mess with the feel even more.
Yeah,
You know.
absolutely.
So the first thing that we do as jazz musicians is start practicing on 2 and 4. I know as classical musicians, you might start out with the quarter note, the half note, or even a whole note. But as jazz musicians, when you start out, you kind of want to get used to replicating that hi-hat, that swing pattern on the drums. So I'm going to set a click here at 100 beats per minute. So we would think of this as
1,
2,
2, 3. Oh,
you're messing
1,
me up.
2,
Yeah,
1,
yeah.
2, 3, 4. Shoo-ba-doo-doo, bop-bop-ba-doo-ba-doo, scoo-bop-dee-ba-doo-lee-bop.
Right. That's how we're thinking of it.
That's right.
That hi-hat sound. So that's the first thing you can do to practice in a very basic way as a jazz musician to kind of get the feeling of a rhythm section in your playing.
And I like to do, I remember doing a lot of metronome practice, even over technical exercises, scales, and would start, once I kind of learned the 2 and 4 thing, I would put that in there as part of my practice as well. So it doesn't have to just be when you're improvising or playing a tune.
Awesome. So as you get better at this, though, you can do less and less. Like I actually love to practice with the metronome on beat 4. So I'm going to go here at 50 BPMs.
Ooh.
1, 2,
1, 2, 3, 4.
Takes
Ooh,
a
that's
second.
hard. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3.
But practicing like that is a great way to see
That's
how
good,
good your
yeah.
time is. You know, put it at a slow tempo, put it on beat 4, put it on beat 2.
Yeah.
I have a friend who practices on the end of 2 only, which is like
Ooh, that's tough. That's
want,
tough. That's fussy. That's fussy. Yeah.
or the end of 4. Man, that's when stuff gets real.
And one thing that you can do too with that, if that's challenging for you, which it will be, to go on just the 4. Some of those we used to, call them like Dr. Beat and the Boss Rhythm Machines. Remember those? Come on now. The 80s. But
the 80s called. They want the
McMurray
metronome back.
Music, Page Boulevard. Hello,
Music.
North County.
Page Boulevard. 8 floors of Midwestern instrument sales.
But you would have, you can have. Well, I mean, most of the apps and stuff will do this. It would be like, ding, 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 king.
Right.
With the emphasis
Little
beat.
subdivision.
That's the way to get
emphasis.
into doing that. And then you slowly take them away, or if you can adjust the volume down. That's the way to get into that 4.
That's really cool. All right, so number 2 of our techniques to tighten up your time.
And can I just add one thing?
Please,
I just realized
please.
this is a kind of concept, I think, for metronome practice in general. The metronome is not teaching you to groove. It's teaching you to feel the distance between the beats and for
That's
you
right.
to self-regulate. So a lot of people think, as we said, like, oh, if you practice with the metronome, you're going to rely on it too much. And I don't think that's true, because you never. I mean, if you only practice everything you ever do with just the metronome, of course you'll start to rely on it. But the whole thing is you're starting to learn. Like, it's the whole thing of like the metronome speeding up, the metronome slowing down. No, the more you practice with it and learn and tighten up your time, it won't sound like it's slowing down or speeding up anymore.
Agreed. The number 2 thing you can do to tighten up your time is to practice more slow tempos. So a lot of us like to practice in very comfortable zones of medium to medium up.
Of course.
That's the jazz musician's bread and butter. But try practicing a swing tune. Here, I got it at 50. Why don't you do a little blues here? Oh, see, no. That's not even slow. This is quarter notes, buddy.
Oh.
Yeah. See, you were trying to cheat it up a little bit.
Well, I like this even better.
This is a grown person tempo right here. So this is a case where you could do quarter notes at first and then maybe switch it to 25
let's
beats
try
per
that.
minute. You want to try switching it?
Yeah.
See if I can do that here on my...
That's too easy, that one, see.
I can only go to 40 on this, unfortunately.
So this can be 2 and 4?
No. Yeah, this doesn't go low enough to do 2 and 4.
How
bud.
low can you go?
Not this metronome doesn't account for Peter Martin level.
Well, I came up in the Betty Carter school where it was like,
Do you want to go
1, 2,
3. So let's try 40 quarter notes.
Okay.
It's tough. So the thing about this kind of practice is that not only does this make you good at playing slow tempos, it actually makes you good at everything else.
Yeah.
It makes that recognition of the beats when they're not this slow even easier.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's like practicing on hard mode and then going to an easier form.
Absolutely.
So the slower that you can practice, and I would recommend that you mix in slow tempo practice in at least your weekly practice sessions.
Yeah.
You know.
This is very much like putting a lot of weight on and just doing a couple of reps really slowly, where you have to control.
That's right.
And like you get your form together. You know, you everything's going to sound whack. You're going to be off, but this will start to hook. This will tighten up your time.
Also, not only that, it's great for time use, and that's what we're talking about today. But it's also really good for, like, if you want to get your phrasing together. You can't fake the phrasing on a tempo this slow. If you try to improvise a solo at 40 beats per minute, 30 beats per minute,
Yeah.
it has to be melodic AF, or it's going to sound terrible.
Right. Good.
That's it.
Okay. So number 3 on our 5 ways to tighten up your time. This is practice starting and ending your phrases in different places.
Yeah, this was a game changer for me when I was a young musician, of really getting it together, because starting a phrase on the end of a beat feels different than starting it on the downbeat. Right?
Yep.
So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Like those little changes that I had to make, or ending your phrase. So practice starting your phrase on the beat and ending it on the beat, starting it off the beat, ending it on the beat, starting it off the beat, ending it off the beat, and starting it on the beat and ending it off the beat. All those combinations will get you to
And that's with the eighth notes.
Just eighth notes. Just really starting with. Like those kind of exercises get you super comfortable with how things feel to start and end.
Yeah, and then it also can help you to hear specific issues you may have. I mean, like most people, when they're like, I need to tighten up your time, they'll say like, I have bad time.
Yep.
And I don't believe anybody has bad time, or at least is born with bad time. Sometimes there's certain parts of your playing that exhibit bad time, but if you can hear that you have bad time, it can be fixed. And so this will start to isolate certain times when maybe you rush or you drag or you come in late or early. And it's usually situational like this, like on the beat, on the off beat. And so this allows you to isolate those situations and to really be able to hear them and then make the adjustment.
I think it's a super important thing to practice.
Yeah.
Number 4 is to practice with recordings.
Ooh,
now this is important.
This could have been number 1.
It could have been.
But we're not going in order of importance. Are we?
No, this is in no order of importance. But it could have been number 2 next to metronome practice, because a metronome is a metronome.
Yeah.
But a human being is not perfect usually. And so if you practice to your favorite classic recordings, you're going to notice that it's human, that it's not perfectly metronomic. And that's cool, because you got to get used to that if you want to play with other people.
Plus, if you listen to great recordings, it's going to be within that pro level range anyway. So there's not going to be a lot of variation. And there's definitely not, there's very rarely that abrupt kind of variation of tempo that we would associate with somebody that needs to tighten up their time.
But you know what we're going to be talking about here is musical shifts in tempo.
Yes.
Where it feels like it should be leaning forward, that you hear in some bands, or maybe they just lay back a section just for a second and then go back. You know, that kind of thing is crucial to practice
And
with.
really, what I've checked out, when you really go to analyze some of those situations, because they're so musical, the actual change of the tempo, like we had that the other day. Remember, we were listening to 2 bass hit, because I was like, I know it speeds up. It actually didn't speed up hardly at all.
Yeah.
It was like, it felt like it was, which is the way it should feel. Like the actual, like the really good players, there's very little variation, you know?
It's true.
And then, and then that there's such an innate sense of sort of individual time. And then when you get a great group, a great rhythm section, I mean, look, let's talk about the bass and the drums being the foundation for this, for sure. But once they're really locked in, even if they're pulling back, that doesn't mean they're slowing down or pushing ahead. That underlying beat and groove stays the same. So
true, man. Bless you. I knew it was coming.
Sorry about that.
You're welcome, YouTube. So that's number 4, is practice with recordings. And number 5, our final way to tighten up your time, is to listen to and count your way through drum solos. Now, I said before, you don't want to be counting when you're playing. And sometimes to do that, you have to count as you're listening to music. Pick some like Philly Joe solos, some Max Roach solos, some players who have really clear and cool phrasing, Art Blakey.
Let's talk about some younger, more recent stuff. Tony Williams, maybe
You
Elvin
recently
Jones.
gave us so much stuff there. No, but like
Jack DeJohnette.
But if you start at like sort of the classic language of jazz people, like Art Blakey, how he
Baby Dodds
go all the way back. Kenny Clark.
Yeah.
No, but where Art Blakey would put his phrases over the bar line,
Ooh,
that's
yeah.
a lesson in how to learn phrasing over the bar line. And if you can count your way through it and then feel it, you will never get lost in the drum solo again.
That's
no drummer
right.
will be able to throw you unless they're effing it up.
And don't feel like it's cheating. Oh, if I listen to the same recording over and over again, I'm going to learn it. I'm going to know what's happening. That's actually the way you tighten up your understanding of this and
so
give
true.
you the confidence. Yeah, when you're in a real situation with a live drummer, you never know what they're going to do. But being able to navigate that through these great recordings is really the pathway to get there. And then the experience of doing it live on jam sessions. And then when you got to count, you count. But then you, at a certain point, you got to kind of jump off the cliff and trust yourself with that.
So we give you 5 actionable things you can do here, and we're going to list them again. And I want you to think about if you're practicing this week, and let's say you have 5 sessions that you can get in this week.
Yeah.
Do each one of these 5 things. On day 1, practice with the metronome. On 2 and 4, on 4, on something that's a little bit out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
On day 2, practice a slow tempo. Again, that's just a hair outside of what you're comfortable doing.
Yeah.
On day 3, practice starting and ending your phrases on either the downbeat or the upbeat. On day 4, practice with one of your favorite recordings, trying to keep time, whether that's playing, walking with your bass player or playing drums or comping if you're a piano player. On day 5, listen to one of your favorite drum solos and try to count your way through it. I'm getting a little background music here.
Well, no, I was just thinking of something, the idea of practicing along with the recording. This, because I was listening to this early. This is
Yeah.
Chill,
Yeah.
Joshua Redman,
Oh, yeah.
Christian McBride, Brian Blade,
Yep.
Brad Meldau. That kind of stuff, especially if you want to learn it. Because you can practice away from the recording, you can turn it on and then off and
That's
see
right.
and
Yeah,
match
yeah.
up with it.
Where you are.
That'll
yeah,
start
yeah.
to get your time together.
Yeah, you could have a friend like turn down the recording and then
Yeah.
turn it back up after a couple of
Yeah.
seconds.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, this is really one of those things. Once you commit and to these concepts and then commit a little bit of time each day, you can see some rapid progress.
It's very true.
You can
If
see some rapid progress.
If you've not
Trust
worked
yourself.
on any of these things, you will progress
Yeah,
fast.
and there's good ways to test yourself with this
Sure.
stuff too. Obviously, the metronome. We got a bonus coming up in a minute. It might even be the most important one, so please stick around.
Cool.
YouTube, podcast, all that stuff. We are having some fun on the YouTube. We're kind of, I don't want to say we're blowing up because
bro.
but you know what I'm saying? We want to ask you guys, please subscribe to this channel because we've got a lot more of this coming. But it takes a lot to put this together, but we're committed to doing it week and day.
Yeah,
No, not every day.
We got a
We
lot.
say in
Of, we
St.
got
Louis.
we got a nice. We got a lot of nice comments on.
But not
about,
all.
no. We have a lot of not nice comments. We got a lot of nice comments of people saying like 30 seconds in, subscribed. Like,
Yeah.
love that stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah, give us a
Subscribe.
subscribe because we're gonna be releasing stuff on the weekly basis for sure.
Because that's how we roll.
That's right.
And check out our sponsor, openstudiojazz.com, when you get a chance.
Yeah.
Let's talk about our bonus.
What is it?
Okay, so this is one I think that you can do both close to the instrument, but especially away. Learn to dance and go and dance.
Ooh.
Like you got to connect time and music. Dance is it's like the missing link. You know what I'm saying?
True. Yeah.
So like listen, and this is not about necessarily dancing to jazz, whatever. Listen to dance music. There's plenty of different kinds out there all around the world.
If you don't
Learn to move your body in a way that is within the time, and then you'll be able to apply that to your music. Because when you're playing an instrument, you're just moving your body. You're really dancing on your instrument
That's
at the
so
highest
true.
level.
Yeah, and even if you're not comfortable dancing or you
Pop and
can't
lock.
dance, like go watch people dance.
That's right.
You know,
Not
like-
me.
no, but
Pros.
so for like I remember when I started playing tango music. I love
Yeah.
playing tango music. It's one of my favorite kinds of music to play. And I went to my first milonga and I watched the dancers dance to the music that I'd already kind of been listening to, and it connected me to the music in a way that I hadn't realized before. That it was literally like the visualization of the music. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Well, until tomorrow.
You'll hear it.